All right, good morning. If we can get seated, we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right, we are going to call the meeting of the Albion Economic Development Corporation into order. We'll have a roll call. Annette, please.
Wallace. Here. Newman.
Here.
Evans.
Here.
Morris. Snyder, Mayor Snyder. Haas.
Here.
Harvey. Clark. White. And Coverly.
Here. All right, we have a quorum. As we move into the approval of the agenda, I'm going to request a motion for some changes to the agenda. I would like to have item 5 moved under public comment. And we're going to ask for the nomination and election of new officers to be moved to the bottom of the agenda. We can have those two things, a motion move to approve those two adjustments to the agenda, please. That motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Question?
Well, why doesn't it have, number 5 have to be to public comment? Isn't it anything on the public comment?
No, we're gonna have, with this, what do you mean public comment?
Because when you open it up to the floor, usually anybody.
Yeah, they're gonna have public comment, then right after that, we're gonna go into number 5 after public comment. Is that okay? All right. Those in favor of approving the agenda with those changes, move forward by saying aye. Those opposed? All right, so we will go into public comment at this time. We open the floor up for public comment. I'd ask that everybody limit their comments to 3 minutes. We'll keep time up here. You can address I guess, board language. You can address the board as a whole, but we ask that you do not address individuals. So with that, we will start public comment. Yes, I think there's agendas and there's a board packet somewhere. Or here, you can. And we'd ask that you start by giving your name and your address, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dan Hagforth, and I'm the leadership trainer for Dale Carnegie here in Albion. I've asked Pastor Paul from the St. Paul Lutheran Church to come up and kick us off with a prayer. Pastor Paul.
Lord, you are the God and Father of us all. From you, every family on earth has received its name, and with you, there's no partiality. We ask you, Lord, to give to this acute gathering wisdom, grace, understanding, and that in our town, righteousness, truth, and justice would be upheld and exalted. And Lord, that you would disperse from us all that would cause division and deception. Lord, lead us in paths of righteousness for your name's sake. Because Lord, righteousness will prosper a nation. It will certainly prosper this city. For that, Lord, we offer you our humble request. Pray for your grace. In the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior.
I've been a Dale Carnegie instructor for over 20 years. I've taught thousands of individuals. I called Virgie in January when I heard she received your vote of approval to be the CEO of the Economic Development Corporation. She said, Dan, if you could take the Dale Carnegie show on the road, I certainly appreciate the training that for this community. Because after all, we're in this all together. I said, Virgie, behind. We did some research and we found out the state of Michigan had funding. $52 million in funding for leadership. And Virgie says, how can I apply that? Let's get together and let's work it out. And through the help of the Michigan Manufacturing Association, Virgie and her team, we were able to secure $200,000 in leadership training. I'm blessed and honored to be one of the instructors teaching down here and helping your people grow in their leadership skills. And to be better at dealing with people. I also want to say that Virgie has been my coach for the last 10 years. And I brought her a plaque. What Webster says about a coach, so what I believe in this one. A coach is a passionate, dedicated individual who unlocks hidden potential and maximizes team's performance by believing, encouraging, and developing. Thank you for your time today. Appreciate having this meeting and hearing from the community. God bless you.
Thank you.
Here.
Next.
For public comment, thank you, Paul Kane. I live at 712 Orchard Drive, at St. Paul Church. I've been here 4 years. Very intrigued by the community. I'm part of that Dale Carnegie course, along with a young man from congregation that's serving as an intern. Very much appreciated. I've heard many of those things before, but I'm incredibly impressed with how it's resurfacing for me important issues and important ways of dealing with people. Being here such a short time, I don't claim to understand all that's going on here, but I know this great truth and the Dale Carnegie type principle. Everything rises or falls on leadership. And I'm sorry to say, this is my early observation. I'd love to be re-instructed. There probably has not been very good leadership in Albion. And so I gather twice a week with Pastor Stephen Williams, and we pray. We pray for this city council. We pray for Albion College. We pray for our community. I'm very thankful for the Dale Carnegie opportunity that Virgie has scholarship us through, because $1,750 course, pretty expensive, but it's good material, and it's brought I think a microcosm of the community together from different places, great conversation, great relationship building, and so everything. So I'm just grateful for the work that I'm a beneficiary of that through the Dale Carnegie course. And when I saw that, I think my comment this last week was, wow, what if everybody went through this course? What if everybody had this instruction and knew how to encourage and show appreciation of a better place this would be? And I have hopes and dreams for Albion. I think it could be a city, so to speak, set on a hill. How
see that you can, that want to help this community are from outside this community. And they are willing to do what is necessary to help us bridge the gap of housing going from the lowest end all the way up, because we have some very unique statistics here that need to be corrected. And I believe that there's more housing opportunities in this community that we need to be addressing throughout the entire community, so that everyone who wants a home can have a home and be able to move it. And I've noticed one thing in my 70 years here, I just told my age, and I used to be community action agency director, office used to be right across the street. And one thing that's been very common about this community is that it has been cyclical in the way it handles leadership. In other words, if there seems to be a move towards helping the entire, then that person seems to always have issues with those who are, quote, in power. And Virgie has shown her willingness to help the entire community. And there's an old axiom that I heard years ago: if I can keep you blind, I can control your mind. And so if you continue to put the shade, you know, what's happening is people are waking up in Albion and realizing there's a greater community. And I pray that our leadership, I'm also a pastor, I pray that our leadership will begin to have the same mindset to wake up that certain communities are not the only communities, but all communities make the city what it is today. As the previous speaker said, I remember the day when there were about 15, 16,000 people in this community. Now we're under 8,000. And you know, but it doesn't mean this can't be a great community. It puts pressure on us, but that means even more so we need Virgie Hammerman to serve us and help us to get to where we need to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for your service, board. I want to speak just briefly in support of Virgie. I've had the opportunity as mayor and councilman for over a tenure of 8 years to work with at least two of her predecessors, and to kind of repeat what Pastor Kurtz said. I think that unfortunately sometimes in our community, when we take a stand that looks at the entire needs of Albion, including our status as a food desert, median income probably in the low to mid 20s, the fact that like other rural spaces across the country, we're dealing with kind of deindustrialization population, and these are issues that as we seek other ways to kind of beautify the community, we do have to take a look at, like, you know, housing, childcare, helping entrepreneurs. And I think that those are things that Virgie has demonstrated an excellent track record of making sure happens in our community. I know that a community that has lost a school, that does not have a hospital, these are kind of major issues that we face. And I think that with the arrival probably the next 2 years of older, that this is a possibility for us to get on the coattails of that economic development. But we won't be able to do that if we don't have housing, if we don't have workforce development, and if we don't address issues like transportation, other kinds of auxiliary to that. I think one of the things that impressed me about Virgie, I think that she's competent. I think that's a big issue. Sometimes in Albion, talking to someone the other day, small communities are hard to break into sometimes because we have networks of friendships that have influence over political decisions. I saw that as mayor, and how sometimes decisions are made based on people feeling like they're in or outside of the group, and not necessarily based on competence or their work ethic. So her competence, her consistency in finding solutions. I work in government affairs in Lansing, so I see the state lawmakers and policymakers, and I know that she it has a presence there, it has connection to this community. And then communication. I think the attendance today's meeting shows that she has have been able to communicate and build relationships with us, like a broad spectrum of community members. And then what I'd also kind of say is a strong suggestion is the process that brought the hiring process, the search process that allowed Virgin to come to this community was flawed, right? I had my doubts, but then from speaking to community members, from talking to Virgie on a number of occasions, I feel this was actually a blessing that she's here with us. So my fear is that if she's gone and the board doesn't invest in an actual real search process that would actually produce qualified candidates, the city's gonna get a dent. Thank you, Virgie.
Thank you.
I just like the,
Oh,
then we, 06 was Chestnut Street, out there in Michigan, controversy, precinct 2 on the land bank and commission. And I've been dealing with Virgin, I thank God for Virgin, because it's necessary when you're out and doing things like in the things that I'm in, the land commission, the land bank and all of that you have somebody that you can go with that you can help. And that has been it. I have people that call me daily asking questions that I can't always answer. So I get to call in people, and Virgin has been a good one, but she'll say, okay, let me check out the right back with you. And it's not long before she gets back with you. And she has been so helpful with grants and things that I'm trying to look up. We're trying to do the Apollo Park into a T-ball field, because we had people in Albion asking to have a T-ball field so their children play ball. And that was a perfect place to have it. And so my first thing was give Virgie a call. She'll help you with that. I did give Virgie a call, came and talked with her. And before we knew it, things were just moving. And hopefully by next spring, we will be putting in a T-ball field in Albion. But I just like to say, I've heard a remark once from a person, and I told him, I said, have you ever really spent any time with Virgie? It said, well, she's kind of George, she doesn't talk like she doesn't. She would get things done first. But I told them, go talk with her. She'll sit down and she'll talk with you too. And they did. And they came back with me. She would. And some of the people that I've had getting in touch with me was women who wanted to do things and different things. And I tell them, give Virgie a call. And they would call me back and say, very helpful. My papers are filed, this and the other. So, I think she's an asset, a great asset to Albion. I think when we start getting rid of people like her, we start moving our mark, not higher.
Hello, Shanae Williams. I don't know a whole lot about her. We met, probably 3 times. I don't know if from a personal level, haven't really spent a lot of time working directly with her. But I know one thing that has happened is that my awareness as a resident since she's been there, the amount of emails I get out of her, she sent me book. I know it's not you directly, but the email list, it's constantly making us aware of things going on. I think Pastor Kurt said it really eloquently that, the people in Albion are starting to wake up, and I think that, having you here has been addition to that, it's been a great benefit for us all, I know when I have spoke with you a couple of times, when I asked you, what can I do for this? It was immediate. It wasn't a long time, you got right with me, you connected with people in Academy, you research and stuff like that. And I have never experienced anything like that from really any leadership in the community. So, for me, it's nonsensical to try to get you out here just this fast. If that's what this is all about, I mean, it seems like it's a waste of hiring, going through the whole hiring process and all of that stuff, and I just wanted to come and say that because I can't speak to your character as a human being, you know what I mean? Because we don't really know each other like that, but everything that I have seen has been very positive, and it has been, to me, a push to help push Albion in the right direction. So I just piggyback off of everybody else who's on it. Thank you.
Good morning, Nora Jackson, 1200 Evans Street. You know, I'm part of council, part of the recreation board, some of this and some of that. But I'm just here because of the fact, not just because of Virgie, but I just like to ask you guys a couple questions. I know you can't answer. This is directed to everyone, actually, as a person. But why would we want to get rid of a woman who speaks up? Who knows individuals and know people all the way around the state? That can help us get on our feet and get this town back going again. So I know for a fact that we didn't hear from God on this. We need to be careful what we do. Because when the people come out and they're reaching to you because you are the board that makes the decision, we need to really take a step back, make sure we got our answers from God. One, you gave the keys to the pastors that came out to stress all the good things that are yet happening and how we are coming together. So I'm hoping that you make the right decision that is for Albion, not for individuals. Because it's amazing when we get someone here that you can't push down, okay? Can't be bullied, but we'll stick up for our citizens. We all need to take a look at where we're coming. Okay, I deal with Pastor Kirk said, the Lord gave it to me this morning, that you guys can take a step back and get his wisdom and not the people that are trying to drive you and tell you what to do and how. And why not, we should keep Virgie.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is James Doherty. I'm owner of Challenger Communications here in Albion. The old Ron has. I had up to 6 buildings that I had in the area, still have a few left. Had many companies consider that. Bilco Incorporated was here for a while, built a new building in the industrial park. That was in '96. Yeah, patriot antenna system. They had 230 employees at that factory back in the day. Unfortunately, somebody out of the country bought them and they destroyed the company in 4 years. Bought it back and started Challenger. It's under a much smaller regime now, but we're still doing the same things. I see a lot of future great things in this area if we keep on the path we are. Sounds like we're going backwards if we do what we're going to do. Just my opinion. I could talk for hours, but I don't want to support the group.
Morning, Commissioners. Greg Moore, Community Affairs Manager for Consumers Energy, 311 East Michigan Avenue, Battle Creek, and a proud member of your Retention and Attraction Committee. I have had the good fortune of working in and around this community for over 30 years. I think of myself as a county commissioner, or former state reps, former state senator, former congressman. And so I've seen the highs and the lows in this community. I've been here when we missed opportunities like landing a world-class equestrian facility. That was almost. I've seen the highs that you're seeing today. Tremendous private investment with Innovate Albion, getting tremendous awards, and a lot of interest. And this community really is on the precipice of something special, especially if we can take advantage of the opportunity of the inside industrial park. It's where we became involved, working with Virgie for the last 6 or 7 months. Looking at the opportunity to tell them what's happening in Marshall and how that can bleed over and help Albion as well. I'm not here. I don't know all the issues that brought us to this point. I'm not going to presuppose to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. That's for you to decide. All I can tell you is what I know. And that is in working with Virgie, she was very instrumental in us making a major investment in the industrial park recently, where we bought a facility that we had been leasing. And we are now making a permanent investment in this community as a critical piece of our infrastructure and our operations as a company, and bringing people from around the country into Albion. When storms hit the state, they come to Albion first. And we chose Albion for a reason, because we believe it's a good place to do business. And I would tell you that none of us are without our families. None of us are without the ability to improve or to do better. But the success of any economic development director, and it's a critical position for any community. It's a critical position, especially now, at a time when Michigan's growth and development is reaching a zenith. We haven't seen this level of development in our state in decades, right? So we're going to take advantage, and we have to be ready, we have to be aggressive, and we have to be willing to push beyond the boundaries that maybe we have been willing to do in the past, because these are not going to last. These developments are not going to stick around forever, and we've got a very short window of opportunity. We know that as a company, and we believe we follow the belief that when Michigan wins, we win as a company, and that's true of the community. It's not about who gets the credit; it's about how we all work and prosper together. So all I'm going to say to you is, in large measure, it doesn't matter who sits in the seat as the director of the EDC. If they don't have the support of this board and of the community, whoever it is going to fail, right? So this board has to decide how aggressive you want to be, what direction you want to take. The city has got to be on board with that. There are good people in this community who are sitting behind me. They're smokers for it. They want to see this community prosper. I want to see this community prosper. We all want to see Albion prosper. So if you can rally around one vision and be as aggressive as you need to be at this point in time to do what is best for the overall community and its citizens, I have no doubt that what brought one of the finest Marriott hotels of any community in this state to Albion, what brought the investment we're seeing today to Albion will continue. Of that, I have no doubt. So whatever decision you're going to make, you're going to make, but I hope that you're going to listen to the citizens and that you consider strongly where this board stands on what it wants to see for the community and how aligned everybody in this community is. So thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, Donovan Williams, 809 North Albion Street here in the city of Albion, Michigan. I'm here in support of Virgie Ammerman today. I've been here quite a bit over the last 10 months, I would say, in support of Virgie and trying to alleviate some of the hurdles that I know she's faced in this community and trying to get work done. Especially being that when she took this role, the only staff member had only been there for a short period of time, less than 2 months, I'll say. I don't have to tell you all, but I'm saying that so that they in these last few months of me knowing Virgie, she has collaborated with council in ensuring that the things that are in the comprehensive plan that the city itself wasn't able to handle as far as community development. We have capacity constraints when it comes to that. So when it comes to things like housing or helping homeowners who can't necessarily afford to move their houses or other necessities that they may need to stabilize their properties so that they don't become a vacant lot like many other properties here in the community. I'm also a council member, and my precinct is precinct 1. Precinct 1 is one of the poorest communities here in the state of Michigan. We're at a poverty level of nearly 60-some%. When I first saw that, I was heartbroken. Not too shortly after, I was appointed to my council chair. In being in that position, I have to advocate for the people of my precinct and the city at large. Reaching out to Virgie in the hopes, reaching out to the EDC in the hopes of ensuring that we had a competent and capable person in the role of CEO was something that me and a few of the other council members had taken very seriously. We were very happy to see Virgie appointed to the role of CEO. And I can only speak for me when I say that I'm continually happy with the work that Virgie has done here in the community and supporting people and taking up the reins as far as the comprehensive plan and what council, the planning committee, and many different departments has set out as far as what our goals will be and what we have identified and told the state that our goals will be as a whole. So to see that there may be an action to separate, I'm gonna just be honest with y'all. I can't get behind that, not knowing the person that I know that shows up to help minority-owned businesses and spend their time helping people who wouldn't have access to the knowledge that she's been afforded in her experience, that they've been locked out of, and they also fill this room and they come up to speak. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Crystal Hoskins. I'm a Jackson resident, but I have been the general manager of the Courtyard Marriott for 3 years now. When I started, you know, we were in the height of COVID, a very, very low occupancy of the hotel. Now everything is pretty much booming there. I worked with Virgie with the Blue Oval project, he's connected us with the right people. We already have people staying in the hotel, projected to stay for 3 years. We only have 75 rooms in the hotel, and they are bringing so many workers to the area already here, and more to come this fall. That is the business level. On the personal side, I have 34 associates that work with us. All but a handful, less than a handful, are Albion residents. And I have struggled with helping them with childcare, housing. I have housekeepers that bring their children to work and they're cleaning rooms, and their babies are with them in these rooms because they can't find childcare. I have homeless people who have stayed, who work with us and have stayed until they can get on their feet at the hotel, and we've done all we can for them. And having Virgie here to help and having her as a resource has really helped us. So I really hope that we can continue. I think this is great momentum. All of her emails with opportunities I print and put on the board because our people aren't connected in that way. They don't get the emails, they don't pay attention, or, you know, like having it in their face, printing it like, hey, you know, you see that there's a, you know, you can get school clothes for your kids and things like that. So printing those and getting those out to the community. I'm doing what I can for our 34, and I think Virgie is really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more?
Well, good morning. My name is Albert Amos. I reside in 400 Borough Street, Albion, Michigan. I'm here on this morning in support of her. And the reason why I'm here to support her, I noticed one thing, and that's I have not seen so many community people rally around someone. I haven't seen the response from a lot of the commissioners and the city council members and mayors and all of that give the response to the people as she does. You know, you can all sometimes try to get answers from people that work for the city or that's on the commission or that's on the council, and you call them and you never hear from them. Never. But Virgie, my God, she'll call you. She'll assist you, she'll help you, she'll look out for you. She seems to be doing a great job in the city. As a matter of fact, I don't think nobody in here on this board has received as much support for what they're doing in their position as she has. So it makes absolutely no sense to me that we would be trying to oust her. This is another thing that I'm trying to figure out too, and I really would like to know the answer to it. How much money have Albion communities spent on severance packages? Because we just seem to hire people and fire people and hire people and fire people. And it's like, do we really have a plan of direction
You know, are we really trying to accomplish something here in the city? Or are we just stuck on ourselves and our positions and who we know and what we want? The Albion, is my understanding, is a community. And it should not be segmented by the people that's supposed to be here as the voice of the people. It's so crazy to me how we have people that's supposed to be working for the people in the city. And oftentimes they either only work for certain people or they work against the people. We gotta get it together, man. It's time out for nonsense. It's time out for personal attitudes. It's time out for, I don't like that. We've been put into positions not necessarily to like each other, not even to always agree with each other, but to get a job done. And my thought is that if you're here and you're representing for the city of Albion, I believe today the city has spoken. I pray that you hear.
My name is Dave Hartley. We're in an Albion township, 8725, 28 mile road. It's the house I grew up in. People might ask, people ask if I've lived in Albion all my life. I say, no, yeah. When I get discouraged, I have to say, I'm here to support Virgie. Not here to influence your vote, because I have been close enough to what's been done with the EDC to really speak to that. But I've gone through some tough times. And when friends have stuck up with me, it's made a great difference. I'm here for that. And Virgie, I know some of the other folks that aren't planning to speak are here for that reason. I said I'm not here, not wanting to influence your vote, but I will say this. When I served on the Board of Education, there were a few times I came to the meeting with my mind made up as to what I thought was the best. And when I listened to people, I changed my mind and took into consideration what really seemed to be best, not just from what I was thinking, but what seemed to be best for the community. What I see in Albion currently, recently, these days, petty bickering, struggles between factions, egos that lead to power. It becomes me versus you, not a sense of what's good for the community, but what's my opinion. I don't see a team spirit. I don't see us working as a team. Those who have viable options will very probably choose not to come to Albion because of the things that I'll see. They'll see it too. I think about what takes place in athletics and what creates a winning team. It's spirit. Some of us have had direct experience with that. Vicki, when you were on the swim team, you knew what Mary Ann brought to the program. It wasn't just swimming in the pool. It was academics and it was social good. It was brought about through leadership and coaching. A person like her. That was a team. You experienced it yourself. Some of us can remember when Milt Barnes was here at Albion as a basketball coach. And how he brought people together, not as individuals, but as a team. You can remember what it was like under Norman Fraser as a coach, and how he was able to bring different people together to be a team and a winning team. Pete Schmidt did that. Pete was not the greatest recruiter for his football program, but he was a great person to bring people together for a common good. We have to come together and start thinking about what's good for our community as a whole. Figure out a way to really come together as a team for the best of what is good for the community as a whole. And I'm suggesting bickering, worrying about what's my thoughts rather than other people's thoughts, worrying about trying to maintain some power is not going to bring us forward. And when people see that kind of action, if they have viable options, they won't be turning it down. So I think I'm not just speaking to you today about decisions you're making. I'm speaking to the community as a whole and how we should be behaving.
Morning, Richard Lindsay, 1550970 Mile Marshall. I just wanted to say a few things this morning about my experience with Virgie over the last 8 months. 9 months ago, November 30th last year, I think I called as a Dearborn, not knowing what I was walking into, and sat down at the table before. And since that day, we've worked 8 to 10 hours a day, almost every day. On this project, this project that Mr. Moore said is transformation from the east edge of Jackson County to the west of Edmond County. And when we sat with the board from day one, literally from day one, so how can this town of 7,000 people, how can you possibly have a plan of this size kind of? And so it won't be us, it'll be Albion. We will support housing, education in Albion. There'll be a need for supplier parts in Albion. There'll be a need for supplier parts in Valley Creek as well. This is regional. This is not Marshall. And so that was the thought from day one. That's been the approach from day one. It's regional and not Marshall. And then I will tell you that we had a couple of early meetings before the project was actually announced at this board, and it was pitchfork and torches in Marshall. When people were not happy, a couple of people were there. I appreciate that. And Virgie was one of them. I said, Virgie, we need to support from Albion to talk about regional cooperation. And Virgie showed up with the pitchforks and with the torches, and she spoke in favor of this project. And her and the statements from people supporting the region, they're looking for support. And so we would not be sitting with Global with a $5 billion investment in this community. And I say this community, I mean, Calvin County, in Marshall, without the support of Virgie. And I will say the other thing is that I've experienced recently is, my God, she connects with all the people at the board. I talk to the people at Ford on a regular basis, like Virgie did this, Virgie did that, we're gonna meet with Virgie, and Virgie set up these appointments. And so when I hear the Marriott manager saying that she's been connected, heck yeah, she's been connected, but Virgie's been making these connections, she's been making them left to right. And she's also looking at what this is gonna look like moving forward, because Louisville is gonna need both supplier parks. They're gonna have suppliers that are gonna locate within 30 miles approximately of Marshall. There's one person is actively working on what that's going to look like, and I mean, all that, all the surrounding communities, and that's Albion, that's the efforts of Virgie. So again, my experience over the last several months. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Marcola Dollar, 918 North Berry Street. I just want to say to you all, we have a beautiful person here. Yeah, it's really helpful how we do it. I don't see how we don't see that. All the people here tonight have this morning have expressed all the positive things that Ms. Virgie has done for our community. And we really want to see Virgie stay here with us. We are not used to Virgie. Used to Virgie evenings, we used to Virgie helping us. Ms. Virgie, I know that we have talked many times about the outside business wanting to come out. So when I connected them to you, they were excited about it. So I'm hoping that the conversation can continue to come between you two. And the city of Albion really needs to take pride in our CEO and our city manager. We got two good people. We need to let them work together. Stay out of their way. Ms. Virgie got a lot of, I don't know if this is the right word, but you got a lot of students up there, you got a lot of stuff stored up there, so. It's grateful that we have you, so we can pass it down to, our city manager, if there is a question. I would like to see you two work better together. And I think that the two boards need to, come to a realization that we have, two people that we can, put together and make this, community even stronger than what it is, even what it was. So, Ms. Virgie, I thank you. From the bottom of my heart, you're the best. They're the best in Albion. We see businesses grow. I have people all the time asking me, who's the EDC director? How do I get information about businesses? How do you start a business? You're right there all the time, whether you're not there visually, you're there through email all the time. So, Ms. Virgie, you're the best.
Good morning.
Morning.
As we close out this session of your meeting, I just would like to say that I listened very, Vivian Davis, 901 Huntington Boulevard. And I would just like to say that I listened very carefully to what the community has said. Mr. Farley mentioned, sometimes we come to a meeting with one mindset and we leave the meeting with another mindset. The only time I've seen this council room filled was with Cheryl Mitchell. The community came out and did some of the same thing, the sentiments, the personal experiences, the well wishes, and the desire for our community to prosper and grow as we know it can. We have an opportunity right now that we've never had before. I've been here since '74. So we've had an opportunity, we have an opportunity, and it behooves us to work together to do whatever we need to do in terms of leadership, in terms of guidance, in terms of support to make our community grow. If keeping a person in the position, giving them the support that they need is what we need to do. That has to be done in order to have a prosperous community. Thank you, and hopefully you listen to what everyone had to say.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else who wanted to make a public comment?
I'm in the same involved 316 Cambridge Street. I typically be going onto the website and reading the purpose of what the EDC is here to do. It says to strengthen and revitalize the community economy by alleviating and preventing conditions of unemployment, alternate responsibility for attracting, assessing, and retaining local industry and commercial enterprise, and providing means and methods for encouraging and attracting new and expanding current industry and commercial businesses. And based on the people that have spoken here today, I feel like Ms. Ammerman has helped to do that in the community. So I just want to say, to focus on the purpose of what things are for, and whoever is in the position, just make sure that they do that for the community. And thank you for all the opportunities that you have.
I have to say something. I'm Harry Gamble, starting rapid. The position that I'm in right now, I wouldn't be there if it weren't for Bertie. She has connected me to the right people to talk to, and I have not had a closed door. I feel I wouldn't even be in the position I'm in right now for one part. Also, I had property bought in my life. With the family. He gave me the right connection, and I still haven't had a closed door. And if you're looking for Albion to grow, you need to keep Bertie right on your side. All right.
Thank you.
Morning. Ryan Salem, 17 West Erie. For Albion, Michigan, and that was everyone who has spoken, I've been online. And, I'm right behind them, every word. There, it would be. It will each and every one of you to listen to what have been said in this room. And to not listen to them. Detrimental for our community. Really get spoken. This room, the people who are in this room today speaks volumes to what we want in this community. These people are here today. So I would suggest, or I would encourage each of you to put away your egos and the self-reflection and just do what's best for you. And I think we'll move forward. And I want to thank you, Virgie, for everything you've done. Everyone said your wealth of knowledge is overwhelming and appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I actually had no intention of speaking, but my name is Art Kale. I am a local business owner. I'm your former county commissioner, former board chair of Gale County, and currently I'm in county EDC on the 30th. Listening to all this, my concern is consistency. The last 10, 12 years here in the city of Albion, we have not had that from our leadership. Between factions going at each other and recalls, it seems like it's always upheaval going on in the city of Albion. And that's not just recognized here in the city, it's recognized virtually statewide. And we're naive if we think it's not. I think fortunately in the last few years, things have settled down. And while I'm not privy to the issues that have brought us to this point today, I hate to say anyone who's about someone who I think is as good as Virgie is. In the little time I've gotten to know her, she has reached out to me a number of times in my current job as the village manager at Homer about different grants that are available, that kind of thing out there. And she's in the loop. And I'm impressed with that, because every time I talk to her about something, there's always a grant or a project or something she's working. And my feel after listening to this is, first of all, I can't believe everyone knows who our EDC director is. I mean, to me, that's unbelievable. But I would, if there's some concerns going on from the board, first of all, the board members I know, none of you are bashful about speaking up. But if there's concerns about operations and that kind of thing, I mean, I'd recommend you to sit down with Virgie and say, hey, these are the things we think are an issue, and we work out a game plan moving forward that is acceptable to both parties. We've got money invested in it. It would be selfish. We've got money invested in it. And she's got the connections, and we got the Ford project going on, the Ford 25. I hate to start over with that. So I just think that there's things to do that we're not happy with. When I say the board is not happy with, address them with their. Maybe you've done that, I don't know, but put a timeline together and what you want to see and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Carolyn Amos, 400 Grove Street, here in Albion. This is the city, these are the people, and everybody here represents somebody else. And I think you guys have heard everything literally about her leadership, her ability, what she can and what she is doing. This lady is visible everywhere. I didn't know as much about my own city until she came, so I can tell you that she's doing a fantastic job, and people have spoken about her what she has done. I just want to say to you that if you have a clear conscience, you need to make sure it's clear today. And when you make the decision, consider the people they have spoken.
Any more public comment? We have this one.
I wasn't gonna say anything. My name is Roy Lucia. I live at 1201 Maple Street and I am new to Albion. I moved here in October 2021 because Freeway Church hired me as their pastor. And if you don't know Freeway, it's the church on B Street, B Drive by the freeway, you know? And well, I thought to myself, I live in Springport because, well, I have 3 kids and I didn't know if my neighbors would go to the same school, if their kids went to the same school as my kids, and it would be confusing. And so I looked at houses in Springport and I looked at houses in Spring Arbor, to offer in a house in Spring Arbor because, you know, schools and kids, they're first, kids are first. So then we decided that we would give Albion a shot because we believed in it. We thought it was worth it. We thought we'd risk it. And so we moved to Albion. And we're launching and leading in the church. We're making differences in people's lives and in their hearts and all these things. But the thing in my heart is I'm looking for someone else who believes in Albion. Someone else will take the risk. And as a young guy, I am full of ambition. I want to see the things move. I want to see it go. I'm excited. I know there's systems and structures in place. I get it. There's things happening here, but I'm looking for the people who are making it happen. And so when I met Virgie, I understood that someone was going to do what it takes for Albion. And so for me, I just saw someone who I felt like, man, someone else is risking for this place. And I believe in that. Because the thing you're seeing behind me, and the thing you're hearing is what is called momentum. And it doesn't just happen. 1,000 pushes in the same direction, right? And so it's starting and it's rising. I'm so excited. I'm so thankful that we chose Albion. So thank you, everybody. And appreciate it.
Good morning, everyone. Brittany Birch, AOCP Broadwell. I come from a family of business owners here in Albion. Virgie understood and initially asked about our property on Austin Avenue, and that's continuously said, Brittany, what are we gonna do? I grew up in Atlanta, and it's sad that I hear about Albion's issues 12 hours away. We are not different from Fulton County, who was dealing with a food desert. I drive to Ann Arbor to grocery shop because I'm not giving a grocery store that I can't even get a line that is green. It's dirty. There's never any produce in it. Everything, all these things. I've had this conversation with her. She's trying to get it cleaned up. And if they don't want to play ball, we need to ask somebody else. The problem is though, we get to the point where I'm upsetting somebody else because I'm changing the norm. We talked about what is the tradition. I'm done with the tradition. What we used to do. We can't keep doing what we used to do. I moved back to Michigan in 2022 to work at the college, but my grandparents have always lived here. I'm looking at, things being back at home. Now there's things that I need to do with their house. Virgie, you can apply for this grant. You can do this thing. Those are things that she has an open door policy and is there to help. But as somebody who is currently living here, I'm driving 45 minutes just to get fresh produce or get great quality meat and not spend that much. But I'm afforded those opportunities. How many people in this community can afford to leave the city of Albion? During COVID, how many elderly were having issues getting quality groceries because they don't have the transportation needs? If somebody is trying to address the issue,
You can't get mad because it's not the way that you want to do it, because it's helping everybody. And if we lift all the tides, how great could Albion actually be? I love this city. I went to elementary school in this city. The city started me. And everybody who comes from the festival, the port, for people who actually come back are ready to invest in this city. But it needs somebody who's gonna actually point them in the right direction, and I believe that's perfect. So thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you. Last call for public comment.
Ashley, with the regular East Ashley. And I'm actually here on behalf of a Black business owner who shared that they were too afraid to come and speak to the board today. I think that there is a tension between private interest and our own comfort and our sense of the public good, whether appointed or elected, who are in this room to serve. Behind me are my neighbors. Behind me are folks who have been on both sides, all three sides, and I'll be on all four sides of every major civic and political issue in recent memory. People who do not agree with each other, people who have done great harm to one another, but are somehow here in support of the same person. A person who on paper, I did not want to like, I did not want to like. But I have seen persistence. I have seen resilience. I have seen allyship. The business owner who is afraid to be here, I asked him what the name of the last EDC CEO was. He didn't know. He was born afraid. So there comes a time when we act on behalf of the most vulnerable, even if it makes our day-to-day experiences, and I recognize that for many this is essentially a volunteer position. There comes a time when we act on behalf of the most vulnerable, regardless of how things have been done before. When we invest in a vision, a future where the folks who have been in Albion see themselves in Albion in 2 years and 5 years and a decade. We have someone who is facilitating healing. We have someone who is facilitating hope. He will disenfranchise our community, our minority business owners. We will be taking a step back if we get rid of a leader who speaks so strongly across both sides of the aisle, all four aisles. Our moral leadership and our clergy are here. Our political leadership and our council is here. Our civic leadership and some of the baddest activists in the state of Michigan are here. I don't know how you act against that and still believe that you're acting for the public good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
My name is Virgie Ammerman. I live at 305 East Main. I'm obviously the current CEO and president of the Albion Economic Development Corporation. When I went to bed last night, I was thinking about this day, as I'm sure all of you were. And as I was scrolling through my emails, I read the Albion e-news. Thank God for the Albion e-news. I get a lot of my information from the e-news. And I noticed that Phil Fitz passed away this in the last couple of days. And it made me think that maybe that was God's way of saying, here's what you can talk about tomorrow, is the fact that my career started here in Albion. Phil Fitz picked me up for my last 6 months of what some of us in the CPA world might casually call indentured servancy, because when my day, we had to work 2 years for another public accounting firm before we could become a CPA. And I'd already had my 3 children, and I already worked at 2 other CPA firms because I kept having children and trying to move around, and Phil picked me up for my last 6 months. And so he set me up in an office, in his office, and he taught me 3 important things. One was boundaries. there were questions I could ask and there were questions that weren't any of my business. And I learned from him. Sometimes you just can't engage the entire conversation, but you have to have trust that everybody's got positive intent. The second thing he taught me was prioritization. So us CPAs, we use our floors to prioritize. So if you go into a CPA office during tax season, you're going to find a whole pile of files all up and down the aisles and around. And every year you do those same returns and you prioritize based on who's got a financial aid form or who's got this or who's got that, or farm return has to be in by March 31st. You learn all the things and that's how it's prioritized. So your floor is your filing cabinet. And then the third thing he taught me was to love the people of Albion. So I also read in the obituary that he's not having a service. You can make donations to the foundation on his behalf, or you can contact the funeral home. But I think for someone who gave that much to Albion and gave that much to me, he deserved at least 3 minutes of time. So I appreciate you letting me share with you what was important about the way I started my career.
Last call, public comment. All right, now we moved the agenda. We're at section 5 where we would discuss an action to separate the CEO president of the Albion Economic Development Corporation from the corporation is itself. This was a plan to, a motion for, well, we're not there yet.
So to have the, if you want to, I know what you're.
Do we need a motion or can I just discuss it? We'll have a motion towards the end.
You can have a motion to approve the separation.
Right, and we're gonna get to that point, but I owe an explanation, all of these people, the why. And that's where I
I
want
think that's part of it. You gotta get a motion. So I had a motion.
Here we have a motion to discuss the separation of the the motion. Can I have a second, please?
Motion to discuss or the motion to.
Motion to approve the separation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second motion to discuss. Separation. We gotta have both together.
So I made a motion to approve separation.
And can I have a second? Second. Question?
So now we can discuss.
All right. All right, so this is not an easy conversation by any way, shape, or form. But I think the great thing about open discussion this morning was it gives you affirmation, an understanding of some of the things we've heard about increased opportunities. We've heard about equity. We've talked about leadership and the importance of leadership. I want to thank everybody who came out this morning to speak on behalf of Virginia. That is very impressive, and it takes a lot to come out and to voice your opinion, and it is greatly appreciated. I also want to, I think it's important that in my role with Albion College, I separate the two this morning. So today I'm here as Mark Newton, and I work at Albion College, but today my views do not reflect any of the views of this college. I do want to, however, acknowledge that after 22 years of working in communities around college campuses and building, there is a very important relationship between an economic development corporation and its community. It's the largest relationship out there to make things possible. So we want to say that. I also want to say that, you know, work Virgie's done, I think I have 7 or 8 of my direct reports who are participating in the Dale Carnegie training. So, you know, it is something, we appreciate those things. I also like to say that at the beginning of this meeting, there was a motion to change the elections. That may seem kind of funny that I wanted to change the elections. I am a board chair of happenstance. I wasn't supposed to be here. It's a weird circumstances, events, but I got here. And I've since shared that because of my other responsibilities, I did not feel I could do the things that a chair needs to do at this organization at this time to move it forward, but I cannot leave this seat in this current situation. But it is what it is. And so unfortunately, I've been a part of a board as a younger professional where I have sat back and I have watched decisions being made when there had been canaries in coal mines telling you that things were going to happen and those things were ignored. And because of that, that organization was hurt. And I sat back as a board member and I watched that. I have worked for organizations where I believe in my heart of heart, a board had an opportunity to make a change and they did not. A board had an opportunity to make a change when they heard credible information. When it came from different locations, they closed their eyes to it, and the organization, the community, and others, they suffered because of that. So today, unfortunately or fortunately, that I am in this chair, in this seat, on this day, and I have the requirement to lead this conversation. So it is what it is. This is a tough conversation. And again, Virgie brings a lot to the table. I have enjoyed seeing a lot of her work. But there's grants, there's contacts with other individuals, there's opportunities for growth in the state. But what I found is through experience, none of that moves forward at the pace that it needs to do without leadership. And the pastor shared that in his opening prayer. We talked about the need for leadership, and leadership is not just leadership of one group. It's not just leadership of one segment. When you talk about economic development and when we talk about great opportunities, it takes a collaborative. It takes the ability for someone to bring everyone together. And that's the hardest job out there. That's why it's hard to find good leaders. So even though the term interim board chair is highlighted, I think it's important that as we talk about not short-term for Albion, as you talk about long-term growth and sustainability, we need a leader of an EDC who can communicate across all platforms. It can't be that I can't get along with this person or this organization. To make Albion great, all organizations have got to come together. There's a mindset change, and it's going to take a special kind of leader to get that done. Is this board? We have gone through an evaluation process. We've had a 6-month evaluation process. Ms. Ammerman was, and I think some of you had some of the feedback in the board packet. So we did the 6-month evaluation process, and you'll see it came back lower, but it wasn't really the management pieces of that evaluation that were dinged on. It was the leadership. It was the ability to communicate with all of the constituents. It's not Albion is not the city just to one population. The EDC is not just the organization that serves one population. We've got to get to a point where everybody has a voice at the table. So not only did we go through an evaluation period, I've sat down with Jerome, Ben, we sat down with Virgie. We've shared concerns. Ben, during his time as chair, we invested in a coach. So as a board, we have done our due diligence, but it's just like gifts of the spirit. People talk about gifts of the spirit. Some people have a gift to teach, so they're in the classroom. Some people have gifts to preach, so they're in the pulpit. Not everybody has the gift to lead. don't get me wrong, Virgie has so many gifts. She is a finance extraordinaire. She is a grant writer. She is a constituent builder, but all of that can sit here. But if we don't have leadership, we're going to keep going in the same circles. And yes, Albion and the EDC may survive, but to get to a point where we need to thrive, my belief is that we need to do something different. And notice I keep saying my belief. So I have had my own situations, but then there's the affirmation that comes with it. So there, if you're getting approached by whether it be community leaders, whether it be other individuals, whether there's text, there's emails, there's these issues, there's a responsibility of the person who sits in this seat to bring those to a conversation with the board. That was it, to bring this to a conversation with the board in a closed session so we can make a decision as a board. We wanted to have it in an open session. I believe in transparency is fine. I don't run from those kind of things. My feel is, I'm one of those people who I complain about boards. I say, why don't they make a change, or don't they see this? Don't they see the long-term ramifications of this? Well, in this unfortunate situation, I'm they. This board is they. So, we listened this morning and I agreed with the majority of stuff that was said. I agreed that there are inequities in Albion and there are some communities that are not served as well as others. I believe that Virgie is a talented worker. I just believe the leadership pieces. And again, I've had this conversation that's been part of an evaluation process. We've invested in a coach. We've tried to make those changes. Leadership is one of those things in life that is hard to teach. It is innate. It is one of those things that you are born with. So now as a board chair, I've had my personal feelings. I know where I am. I know where I sit. I'm okay with that. Because I've had others approach me, including others on this board, with the same issues. I've received that affirmation. So I hope that this body will appreciate my role as a board chair in having to bring this to this board for a decision.
I'm sorry, I apologize. As you're making your comments, you mentioned my name. And I need you to be more clear as to what you're saying, because
I was just saying,
following.
if you remember that you, me, and Ben and Virgie had the conversation at Cascarelli's about next steps.
That's the meeting that I called.
Yes.
And I called that meeting to say, you and Ben need to get on the left side of Virgie and right side of Virgie to help her go through some of the not supportive other entities in this town, like the Chamber of Commerce.
And at that meeting,
Foundation.
I shared with you that I did not agree with that. I agreed that the issue was, yes, those organizations had some problems, but through my personal interactions, there was a lack of the ability to collaborate. That was me. So I didn't blame them. And I'm not putting anything on anybody else. All I'm saying is a group, there were, it's not like this is coming out of nowhere. We had the conversations. We've done the evaluation. We have hired a coach. So due diligence has been done. That's my point in using it.
And Mark, with all due respect, we have all agreed as a board that we do not have it together as it comes for a relationship with the CEO and the definitive marks of evaluating her. We've done that.
We have done that, but as I review and we go back to the evaluation, it was an evaluation. It was a review. Even though we disagree and say that that evaluation or review was not perfect. It was a review, and when you read back through it, everything comes back to the same point. Everything comes back to leadership, and we cannot ignore that. That's my point.
So, 2 points I made, and this is a change at this point.
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay, all right, this is the new change. So Mark, 2 points I raised, to you, right? From a leadership perspective, I'm been learning and understanding, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the foundation has a rub with our leader, and the Chamber of Commerce has a rub with our leaders. I understand that there is a rub as it relates to our last order on Eaton Street. All of those things, Mark, in my opinion, does not dictate leadership. I think it delivers a message of decisive choice making. It's decisive choice making. Maybe we're missing work. But if you can't work in an environment on each street, then it's appropriate to come out of that environment so that you can work.
And we agreed and we moved to Eaton Street.
If you have customers that are uncomfortable with being overheard in what they're saying in that environment, it's appropriate for them to come out.
Right, and Jerome,
If you got a city manager who says, I refuse to be in the room with a leader, then you need to work that out. Yeah. That's not the basis to that separate, in my opinion.
and so, and this is that point where we agree to disagree, because again, I'm going on my personal interactions also.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so when you talk about Eaton Street, when that became an issue, we immediately acted. We did it as quick as we could. That is another issue
Yeah,
that we have to,
carry the luggage of that.
we still have to, and we'll have a conversation about it. All right, but we will have a conversation about that. But the goal today was to discuss future employment. So I say all that today to say what I'm going to ask, what I'm looking for from this board, what I'm looking for is a motion to move forward on the official separation from the CEO of the EDC.
We have that.
We have a first and second, and then we're gonna have some discussion, then we're gonna have a vote on it. That's my job to get that to the table. That's my job in this seat on this day.
Can I ask a question?
No.
Right now, it's just,
So, I just, am I on?
No.
I don't know how it works.
Okay, I'm sorry. So there's a motion for separation because there's individuals that have had, some problems and some concern.
No, that's not the reason.
Or, there's, I'd appreciate it if you'd let me talk and not interrupt me.
Okay.
Thank you. Or if there's some concerns about having relationships with people and other leaders because of conflict. Now, what I know as far as being trained and going through different training like Dale Carnegie, because I have went through a lot of your training with Summit Point. And one thing I have learned that I totally disagree with you, Mark, in your opening statement was that you cannot change personalities. That's not true. And I'm going to speak for myself first. I came from an industrial background. I was a very stern and not flexible leader when I was working there. I left the job, was getting ready to get a promotion because when you work in the industrial, sometimes that's what you got to be because it's about parts manufacturing and out the door. So, and then I went into mental health. So when I went into mental health, I had to be changed. And it wasn't because I thought I needed to change. It was because the training that I received and the atmosphere that I was in and the conversations that were held with me made me understand where my strengths were and where my weaknesses were. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. Everybody. And if a person makes a statement about what they're not going to do or what they don't want to do, to me, that sounds like pride. Because when something isn't working, there's a point where you have to look at how many times have I heard this conversation that I need to correct it on both sides. Both people have to look at both sides. So what I'm saying is, if there's people that are in organizations that aren't comfortable at this point, then it should have been done in a fashion that there's an open conversation and dialogue to have things corrected, and not because you go into a meeting behind a closed door and you get upset and you make phone calls and you call whoever you can to get on your side because this is how you feel and these are your feelings. Again, that's pride. That's not leadership on anyone's behalf. And if a person can't recognize that sometimes you have to bend, because also what I've learned in all my training is you're not all the time right. And sometimes your right has to bend for the greater good, for everybody. So listening to everything I've heard on both sides at different levels of education, administration, and employment, what I hear is we have a situation where we need to come together and fix as a board, not alleviate. That's showing Albion as what it has been for years. We just alleviate. If something not working, we just alleviate it. It's gone, okay, cool, let's go to the next. And like some of the other people have said, that's why we've had struggles with people coming here. Because we don't know how to fix. We only know how to see, make an opinion, and stop it. I'll talk about the city manager. A lot of time, I did not agree with the city manager coming in when she came. I like her as a person. Please don't get me wrong. I like her as a person. But I saw some things in this city that needed strength, teeth, to be able to change. So, but now that she's been in office for a while, I appreciate what she's doing. I know she's learning. I know a lot of the things that she's doing, she's learning, but she's also bending. She's also bending. So what I'm saying to those who have made this opinion, where's your flexibility? Where's your grace? If it was tearing up where you were seeing nothing happening, I could understand. But the point that you're talking about separation, because there's areas where there could be grace and some things that could be corrected, I think you're forgetting all about that. And what do you teach your children? What did you learn? What did you learn when you were growing up? Didn't you learn you had to bend? Didn't you learn that there was rules and regulations? Didn't you learn that there were some things that you had to learn how to be flexible with? And if there's an area where people think that she can't be flexible, then how do you know that if you haven't really found out why are you so strong in this area? Because that's, again, that takes a discussion.
Chair, point of order. Question to council. In a discussion as we are in, if you are a voter, board member, you're going to abstain from the vote, is it appropriate for them to participate in the vote or participate in discussion when that point of order?
I don't believe it's hard.
I think private school says, that you're not supposed to vote by the legislation. I believe that when I, yes, it is.
And I'm not sure who's abstaining, so I.
Well, that's what, we don't know who's abstaining.
Right.
But they probably already decided to abstain because, and if they abstain, they have to say it's conflict of interest, so I just wanna make sure that I'm clear that if someone's planning on staying in a conflict of interest, probably shouldn't.
Take part in discussion.
So Mark, from just a common sense standpoint, it would behoove me not to enter into discussion on either side of an issue and then not vote. But just from a common sense.
I agree. No one said that they have not voted. And just for transparency, I have called each member of this board to let them know that this was coming. In no way did I try to sway or try to push anybody in a direction. I did want to let them know that this would be on the agenda for this board meeting. I also did that with Ms. Ann. I don't know if we can accept questions from the audience.
I would merely ask Robert's rules of order
Yes.
and what.
Can't, ma'am, sir. Sir,
Regarding debate by the chairman of the board.
sir,
I'll talk about that.
sir, we can't, and just for everybody. Just for everybody to understand, that's what public comment is for. And I know there's a lot of people that are anxious and want to say some more, but it will be at the end. So no, we cannot accept questions at this point, okay? Okay.
What I have seen happen is, that the chair can recognize the person, subject matter expert on a question. So if you feel like you have a question that, or like an answer, you can sort of. That would be the only thing I thought.
We're good to go. I was just seeing if there's any more discussion. No discussion. I think we do have a motion on the floor
There's a motion and a support.
and support. We are going to move forward on a roll call vote.
No, because there's already a motion and support on the table. That has to be addressed first.
No, you can amend. That's what we learned.
So, Chair, I would ask that I be allowed to amend the motion.
Please move forward.
No, I think I can only be the one to amend the motion. I made the motion.
I think the body can ask you to amend the motion, so I think another person can ask you if you would agree on that. This is scary. Everybody doesn't know what to do, but this is scary. Charlie, you have an amendment that you wanted the mayor to consider.
Yes, I did.
I think that's the question you asked.
That amendment would be read as such that a review of the issues be documented and corrective actions. Yes. Be put into place based on timelines and strategic or specific goals to answer those objectives. So, Mayor, using my layman's terms, identify specifically what the issues are. Set a timeline for them to be corrected with empirical evidence of them. So that we step away from opinions and of subjective answers. Right? So we're in a land of subjectivity, in my opinion, right now. What has happened, what has not happened, right? Who said what, how it's marked, and I apologize, how it is labeled by you, Mom. Right? Because you done most of the talking. So we don't have anything definitive today. Releasing our president today for what? Because she's not a leadership. She's not a leader.
No, no, I'm sorry. We do have an evaluation. That is a tool that was completed by this board. That I think we have the right to go back to. So as we look at what those definitive pieces are, that is what I would leave back.
And Mark, I would tell you, if you look at that evaluation, you have nothing definitive in them. There's absolutely nothing definitive in it. It's been one of my complaints ongoing. has been one of my strongest suggestions in hiring an outside HR firm for us. Right, and I understand we're in process with that, but I haven't seen any good from that. I see some of my board members nodding in agreement with that.
So I guess what he's basically saying, we did the evaluation, we challenged the evaluation. Even you, in conversation talked about the evaluation and the way it was structured. So it wasn't structured in a way that most of us have seen before or understood. And like I was just speaking to Victoria about, key point of the evaluation, you had numbers 1 through 5, but you added a 0. So if you add a 0 through numbers through 1 through 5, that makes 6 numbers, and one number doesn't have a count. So therefore, if you do an evaluation like that, it's automatically gonna be scored lower. I've never, ever been in an evaluation where you had a 0 to be counted as a number, because it doesn't, it makes you're dividing 6 numbers, which one number doesn't have any merit.
So the scale was NA 0, 1, 2, 3, right? Scale of NA 0, 1, 2, 3. And 2 was exceeds expectation. And I think the score was a 2.05.
But there were zeros in there.
So the score was meets expectation, the score was not exceeds expectation. So you have an evaluation, you did agree to revisit that. So we did hire, HR specialist that would assist the board with that, if you choose, but that would be a separate engagement with that person. But you have an evaluation that met expectations, that you did not exceed expectations. And so that's the evaluation you have. So just to be clear, from a data perspective, that's what you have, right?
So going back to Jerome, I'm just going to keep my motion as it stands. And I'm going to call the vote.
Mr. Chair, a board member can move to amend the motion. They don't have to get permission from the original mover.
Thank you.
If there is no support for the motion to amend, the
Support.
motion dies.
But does it have to have a
Support.
2/3 vote?
Well, then you would vote on the motion to amend. If it passes, then that may affect the original motion.
So first we have to vote on the motion to amend.
And I'm not sure what the motion is, I will confess.
So Jerome, can you restate
But it's
your?
not up to me to understand, so I just.
Okay.
So my amendment simply says that we do not release our CEO, that we set a evaluation period and an improvement period with definitive markers in that to be relooked at a time in the future, 3 months, 6 months.
Support.
So we have a motion to override the previous motion and or to add to the previous motion. Is there any other discussion about this motion? So can we, and I'd like a roll call vote on this, please. So right now, this first roll call vote will be on the motion to amend the original motion. Yes.
Newman,
No.
Wallace,
Yes.
Evans,
No.
Norris, no. Mayor Snyder,
No.
Haas,
No.
Harvey,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Coverly,
Abstain.
we have 4 no's. And 3 yeses.
So
Five.
so now we'll be able to move forward on the original motion.
Wow.
All right, so can we please restate the original motion?
So the motion to move forward with the separation.
So we have a motion to move forward on the separation with the EDC director. Can I have a second?
There is a motion and support.
Are there any other questions there?
I would move to amend the motion to motion again.
Explain this one.
If you are going to. I'm sorry, you together? If you are going to move forward with our distinguished mayor's motion, that it be amended to provide for the professional courtesies of removing a professional. Outline a timeline and a package by which we provide it to that person. And a wind down period. I think all of us agree that Virgie is doing a tremendous amount of things at a regional level, at a corporate level, at a local level. And to simply dismiss her today leaves this community in a.
That's it.
Ben, I mean, I'm sorry, Jerome, there would be, we have talked to Nelson about what the amenable package, severance package would look like. We would definitely do a wind down again. I appreciate the motion. In my field, I do. And I know that there are a lot of things that we do not want to lose. I believe there is space for everybody on the bus, as this bus is moving forward. But I think it's just finding the right seats. So with that, can we move forward, please?
Roll call vote.
So Mark, I apologize, and whatever quorum I am breaking, I would ask for your forgiveness. What's the plan after this?
So we
There's
don't,
gotta be a plan. There's got to be a plan.
I've spoken to the assistant in the office who will make sure that the ball will keep moving and we will start a search for a new director.
so before we vote, I just got one more question. Just one more question before we vote. Go ahead.
I did call the vote.
Just the vote out there.
Take roll call, please.
May I ask, is this?
But nobody asked this question. If she called the vote, but she didn't.
But the vote has been seconded and we have to vote and we come back.
Oh my God, I'm so organized.
Then we got a second. I was writing it down.
Yeah, I seconded. I seconded. Oh, I seconded.
So this is a roll call for the second amendment by Mr. Trump.
Do you have the, I didn't write
This
it
is a
down.
roll call for the first amendment by the mayor.
I didn't make an amendment.
Mark, motion. Chair.
Yes.
Chair, may I further amend, may I amend the motion by asking for a postponement of this major vote in order for us all to have some better understanding of what's happening.
So I'm sure you're not having two motions.
I don't think, I think you have support for your second motion. There had to amend. There hasn't been a vote on that. I don't think it's appropriate for you to move before that.
Okay, we did do a vote on the amendment.
The first one.
Okay, the second amendment.
He's moved, I believe, Howard, already moved it yes. So have a game plan, I think is what my words.
Correct. So Jerome, can you restate your second amendment, please? Just so we're clear.
The amendment would be such that we delay this vote in order to have a game plan, a unified game plan of what a transition, what a breakup fee, or what a wind down cost is, and a benefit package for the CEO.
All right, do we have a second?
Yes. Change.
All right, any discussion?
Yes, the discussion I would like to have right now is, because I've talked to the two people that have voted no. There's some information, I guess, that you guys know that I don't know. I do not know in detail, and you may have thought that's what you were doing. But I don't know from having the discussion with you till today for separation did not merit what's happening. So in other words, I don't know the details. And if people are gonna hide, I could hide behind anybody and say, what's your name, sir, again?
My name's Scott.
Scott. I don't like Scott because he does this and this and this, and he could be in her position without any merit to that. And it's like hiding behind a door and hollering out loud for people to hear, and then somebody hears it and moves forward. And so I'm sure there's other board members in here that don't understand why this decision came forward today. And I'm not comfortable with you guys voting no, and you haven't talked to the rest of us. Who made certain board members only privy to this information when we're a board? So in other words, whatever you guys know that we don't know, before this vote goes forward, it needs to be discussed.
Thank you for that. So we have a motion on the floor. It's been properly seconded. Any more discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Newman,
No.
Wallace,
Yes.
Evans,
No.
Norris, no. Mayor Snyder,
No.
Haas,
No.
Barbie,
You got to
Just
vote. You got to
vote opposed, whatever. We're getting rid of it. I'm mixed up right now.
This is your motion. This is what we're voting on, your motion.
Yes. All right, this has been cool. Not sure what's going on. This is not cool at all.
Clark,
Yes.
Coverly,
Same.
That's supposed to talk, but he's supposed to tell us why he's saying. He hasn't said anything about a conflict of interest, and that's not fair for us.
Yeah, so what?
I have no problem expressing. I've been on board for a period of 1 month. I've not been privy to the evaluation process. I have an evaluation. I have a documentation in front of me that I can read, but I do not know the contents of how it's developed. I have no additional information around that. That's the result. I understand.
That's not a conflict.
so
That's not a conflict though.
So
But that's why that's the only reason why you can abstain. It has to be a conflict, according to,
that's not correct.
If the person doesn't have enough information to vote on, they can abstain. And since he's only been on the board for a month, he doesn't have all the backstory.
neither do I, but you guys don't care.
So, Mark, again, I'm gonna call the vote. I need a support for call the vote, please.
What's the?
Mr. Cutler, we, what information? No, as we had the conversation with Mr. Cutler about what was going to happen, he's a new authority. Again, I said, I'm not trying to sway anybody's votes. I just told him this. He asked for conversation, he asked for a copy of the evaluation. We shared it with him.
I have a copy of the evaluation too,
Uh-huh.
but that doesn't educate me as to why we've come to this point at this time.
Okay.
So
And
I've
that's-
not been.
We have to vote,
I have a call to vote. I need a support, please.
yes. Carry a second.
Vote to call the vote.
No, so I'm having a call to vote to end the discussion so we can actually vote.
I don't even know if we got that for that.
Okay, so then, Annette, will you please take a vote for a call to vote?
Don't we need a vote to stop the vote?
No, can you please?
And that take roll call for a call to vote.
Newman,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Norris, yes. Mayor,
Yes.
Paz.
Yes.
Harvey.
No.
Clark.
I don't even know what we're voting on.
Call the vote.
Oh,
No,
Now you take the roll call vote.
Coverly.
I'm sorry.
So yes. Chair, we need a super majority, so, thank you.
There's 7 yeses.
do we need a supermajority?
I have to confess, I'm not certain, but it sounds like you have it.
Yeah, 2/3.
all right, now can we get the original motion on the floor?
Yeah.
All right, just a minute. Way more votes than I thought.
Mm. You won't go in the office next year.
Newman,
Yes.
we're caught. What are we voting on?
Separation,
Separation.
separation.
Okay, Newman, yes. Wallace.
No.
Evans,
Yes.
Norris, yes. Snyder.
Yes.
Paz,
Yes.
Harvey,
No.
Clark.
Yep.
And Hubbard.
Same.
5 yes. Agree, no.
All right, motion carries.
What we forgot.
When's the next time we have to vote? For our council or mayor?
All right, let's go. Can we take a break? Yeah, we're having.
I know.
In lieu of time, we are going to table the rest of the agenda. We are at 9:33.
So,
I'm sorry, but after public comment.
so just 1 minute. I just want to make an announcement right now. I will be giving you a letter in writing. I will not attach myself to something of this nature. So I am resigning as of today, to be honest.
So public comment.
So to be honest, like I try to be, so what's happening here is, and I think the community people know, is the community foundation, which the mayor is a board member of, which has a lease with EDC. And if the EDC moves out of that, that destabilizes the community foundation. Mr. Williamson was not qualified to lead that search. According to the guidelines that you've set, right? You had to have selected an executive director in a municipal role in another community. He did not meet that qualification. What it seems to me is, it appears as if he spent his time fomenting disagreement, as Mr. Harvey stated, in the community foundation and in the Chamber of Commerce. And so my concern here is, this is a terrible disservice. You basically had a supermajority of council say, or I shouldn't say count, they didn't say that collectively, but they've expressed concern about this. The mayor makes nominations, but they approve, and the council can also remove board members, right? So I think that it's just really dense right now. I think the work with the splash pad is great, and the renovations at Victory Park and the band shell, but that's not jobs, that's not supporting housing. It's basically saying we're going to do the happy things that look good on social media, but we're not actually facing the real challenges here. I hope, I pray that you all don't use Williamson Consulting to do that search again. That would be absolutely crazy.
We will not.
And so it's just hardening. I don't see how, as Mr. Farley was saying, it just kind of creates, it continues the factions. And I think someone else said, like, there are people who supported Virgie on different sides and different factions in this community. So I just, I do agree with what Ms. Clark said, like, you never really said what the problem was. Was it basically people who want to be in control and are willing to basically damage the future of the community at all costs to do that? The election is next year. And I hope that voters take a really, really strong look at what you all have done. And then just even, I'll end with this, even as how the meeting was run, there has to be some governance training here. It's very clear that you all don't know what you're doing in terms of running a meeting, in terms of like the evaluation, like, you know, I have a master's degree in basically applied statistics, and I don't see how you're doing a scale like that to get an actual number that works. So it's so disappointing. It's so disappointing. And like someone said, the state is looking. Yeah, thank you.
I want to cry. I am so disappointed in you all. Your children, your grandchildren are going to be fine. Your children aren't even from here. They're in college, they're going to be fine. All of your children are fine. And how many times do we have to come before you and say, it's not just about you? It's not just about you. We can disagree. We don't always have to see eye to eye, but this right here, you have an evaluation that said the person met the expectations. You said 0 as to why you wanted to let her go. 0, except your personal opinion. You didn't have examples where she disregarded the will of the board. You didn't have examples where people came and tried to spend millions of dollars and she wouldn't accept it. You had 0. You have your personal opinion. And no one else spoke about it, which is suspect also. No one else said why they felt like this. You put the motion on the floor. You said nothing as our mayor, nothing as to why you did this. We have one of the biggest opportunities in a lifetime facing us with all of the residuals from Ford. And this is what you guys want to do, put us back. And then we're already behind the 8 ball. We're already behind the 8 ball. My program spends millions of dollars in Albion every single year. Do you know how much cooperation I've had from people before this? Not much. Virgie, a lot. Millions. And you know what helps? It don't help y'all. It helps people that look like me, and people that look like my grandkids, and people that look like my cousins, right? And so we're gonna spend all of our time doing the same thing we've always done, which is what got us here. This is what got us here. Acting like there's one person or one group that's supposed to control everything, and that never works. That never works. We don't have to agree on everything, but we have to respect one another. This was disrespectful. You have people from all sorts of our community coming together, people that don't even talk to one another, to say, this person is doing something great in our community. We have the opportunity to be a part of growth from consumers, growth from Ford, growth from all the other industries that are coming in. But we're gonna let her go. We're gonna start over. We're gonna spend the money to give her a severance package, but we're complaining about a lease termination. What's the difference in cost for that? And then you want to say that you've only been here a month, so you can't vote? That's bull. That's not a conflict of interest. You have a conflict of interest. You do not. So I'm thinking that in terms of like moving forward, y'all got to get it together. You're going to listen to your community, or you're just not going to be here. Because I feel like if Alabama has taught us nothing, we can come together and make some stuff happen. We can get our council to remove every single one of you, including you. And I'm not saying that to be rude or disrespectful. I'm saying that because we have got to stand up as a community and stop letting this stuff happen. We can't just come up here and talk. We can't just come up here and bitch. We got to come up here and say, guess what? This is what my vote does. You don't want to listen to us? Deuces. That's what we got to do. And that's what I see happening.
Tina Williams, 414 North Huron, I am disgusted. Because once again, we allowed the puppet masters with money to dictate what we do for the masses. Clearly, it was clear who was in support and who was not, by who was here and who was not. This is not okay. Y'all just, sorry, passion in the room, y'all just shit in our faces as a community. Because we clearly see leadership, Mark. We see her leadership, Mark. And not agreeing with one or two people does not make her a leader. It doesn't make her incapable of doing her job. It makes y'all incapable of leading. That's what happened today. Y'all showed that y'all were not capable of leading. And I'm disgusted.
I'm Alfreda, I know I was up here earlier, and I guess I just want to say, a wise lady told me once, if you cover your feet, your head's going to show. If you cover your head, your feet's going to show. So what's been done behind closed doors, those backdoor meetings and those different kind of things, and evidently because no one, some of you all don't even know, the whole committee doesn't even know what's going on, evidently something's been done behind back doors. But it will come out. It definitely will come out. I know that it's because I'm standing here. And my thing is, we all gonna have different opinions. Some of you all that sit here, I've had people in the community talk about you all in your leadership. Okay, so it's just a matter of opinion. It really is. You got someone doing what she's done. You've got all the evidence that's the individuals who come here today to express that. You really do need to listen. You're not gods. You're really not. And you can be replaced. Each one of you can be replaced. And so you better think about this. There's one thing I know the Bible says, you reap what you sow. And I'm not talking about karma. You reap what you sow, and it doesn't take a long time to come back.
What I have found in situations like this is that decisions were made before it got to this point. This decision didn't, this wasn't a vote that was made just now. This decision was made before because the right call was made, the right information was done. I've been involved in community action agency. I've been involved in programs. I've been on boards, and I know how people get on the phone and say, we need you to do this. And people puppeteer, bow down, and do what they're told, regardless of how stupid it looks. They do what they are told, and when they do what they're told, guess what? People, people have their own agendas. They do little things. You get your conflict of interest. You are buying properties that you know that you're going to benefit from. You're doing all the things that you know because the puppeteers are telling you, if you do this, we'll take care of you. And that was this decision today. The community, how can you say that you heard all these voices and people were saying they support this person? If that, listen, I've been a pastor for years, and believe you me, everybody does not agree with me. When I stand before the people, if I got 100% approval, Pastor, we'd be doing good, wouldn't we? There are times only 5%. I always say this term a lot. That many times that I'm speaking, I have a lot of believing people. You know what I mean by believing? I say something, they say, well, Pastor, we believing now. Because I stand on principles, and I stand on those principles regardless of what people say. It's ironic. I applaud you, Brother Harvey. I applaud you. I thank you. I applaud. I really do. Yeah. A man who grew up in this community, has invested in this community, has wanted to do great things in the community. And yet, when you hear people, I grew up in this community, lived all my life. Vicky's grown up in this community all her life. You know what? We're not owned. One thing I can say, I've had to do everything I have to do because I am not owned. And I would suggest this, and I am not pointing fingers, but I would suggest that much of what took place today was the sound of people who were being owned. I learned this. I listen to the voice what comes out of people's mouth, and I hear the rhetoric of those who are controlling it, and you know where it's coming from. You listen long enough, you'll know where the voices are coming from. I have a problem with this vote today, a serious problem with it, because we were once moving forward. We had a community that was moving forward. If you had a problem with some of your issues, you should have dealt with that in a different way. But you have a community standing here saying, look, We are behind her. She's getting things done. And obviously you only want things done for those who you want it done for. And that's it. So remember that. Remember that, remember that, and remember that. And guess what? I don't like the term woke. I really don't. But I tell you what, we are awake. We've been that way for a while. And really frustrated right now. Thank you.
Mark, you, excuse me, you articulated one reason for dismissal. Lack of leadership. But you haven't really told us where she was lacking, what she was lacking in terms of her performance. The people that spoke to this body, in their minds, they were seeing leadership. They were seeing action. And they were seeing a leader that took their concerns to heart. That's leadership. I think you owe it to the community now to let the community know in what regards was she lacking specifically?
Yes.
Did she not bring in grants? Did she not meet with people in the state? Where did she specifically fail? Because we haven't heard that from you and we haven't heard it from anyone else, but we did hear a great deal of leadership spoken to by people from this community. And the only thing that you said that she failed on was leadership. One more thing I would say. I'm not absolutely certain that Robert's Rules of Order would be this, but it's my understanding that the person presiding should not be the first one to be debating. Even the question is whether the presiding person should debate the issues.
This was a royal shit show. Nobody knew Robert's Rule of Order, and that's the first part of being on the board, and I have been on many. This is disrespectful to this community, and like Shauna said, the person leading, you're not even from Albion. I am. This is my community. Everybody, Mr. Harvey, I've known him my entire life. My grandparents owned businesses here, Black businesses. Downtown doesn't even reflect that anymore. So we're playing to certain people, and I'm gonna call them out. Bill Dobbins, Shane Williams, that's who y'all playing to. Why are they the only ones who get to eat? They shouldn't be. And you're looking really smug up there like you did something after you even said, I'm about to resign. So who makes this kind of decision and I'm about to resign? I can go back to Georgia with zero problems, but this is my community. You're not gonna be here lifelong. We're here lifelong. Get back to Albion. Talk back all the time. Before I moved here, I was here 5 times a year. I've been to school board meetings when they closed the school board by the same powers that be. My grandpa, who is own businesses, have stated the same powers that be. They still circulating. So what can you, as a Black man, do? This is like women and Black men who told you this is not correct. We don't know. You think this is a good idea? A good idea to make a decision. Look, people how can he get to abstain? That's proper Robert Rules of Order. That's not conflict of interest because he didn't read the document. That's not fair. If they're telling you there's an issue, that's not fair, but you still did it. This is disgusting. And I hope this council, who all in here, replace all of y'all, because you said you was leaving. And I hope you get the call and have a good day.
I'd like you to hear what I have to say, young lady. Young lady, I'd like you to hear what I have to say, please. I listen to you. I would like you to listen to me now. Okay. Okay, can I have the floor? To start with, I don't appreciate you running down the Dobbinses. Now, here's the deal. No, stop, let me speak. I did not interrupt you when you spoke.
You can't address her.
Huh?
You can't address her.
Anyhow, the Dobbins spent a lot of money in this town. They got the grants to fix the shelf
They put on Swinging at the Shell all summer long. They spent a lot of money on downtown to try to make things look nice. So I don't think you should go there about what the. Okay, so I'm addressing everyone.
Please address, yes. We can't address the individual, please address us.
Well, I feel that that's wrong, that people that are injecting money into this city and their heart and soul into this city are being put down. Now, I work with Mr. Harvey. The lady that y'all are in reference to at EDC, I receive emails all the time for her. She's putting emails out here that the Blue Oval is accepting carpenter apprenticeships. They're accepting this, they're accepting that, and trying to forward information to us. And I honestly don't feel that the city is correct with their contractors either. Now, I had a dispute here personally. That's all right. I will go back to working in Ann Arbor and in Jackson where people appreciate people that work. I don't have to have this community. I was born and raised here. I went and served my country in the Marine Corps and came back, and I've been here all along. I'm very much in the Dobbins' corner about what they want to do civically. Mr. Plasman, I worked with him before that, trying to do things for this community. And there shouldn't be so much dissension. And I'm not racist by any means. And I think Mr. Harvey will address that issue. Now, if you have a problem with this, with a lady, if she doesn't respond, have people spoken with her? This is how we need you to respond. Politics are terrible. Politics are extremely terrible. In fact, when I come back working for the city, I forgot how terrible politics were. And I feel like she's always addressed me in anything that I've had correctly. Now, how she's worked with y'all as committee and council people, I don't know. But did any of y'all ever say, look, this is kind of how we need you to work with us? Has anybody addressed it in that issue and in that sense?
Unfortunately, we don't respond.
Excuse me?
We can't respond to public comments.
Why?
It's just a word.
Yeah, why? I fought and shed blood for our freedom of speech. And we're being here, and I'm not trying to be incorrect or disrespectful, but why can I not get an answer for a legitimate question?
They'll get with you.
You know, your daddy taught me.
So after making the statement, I've got several text messages just telling me to rescind that. So I'm for the people, so I'm rescinding that, but I'm standing here right now as a homeowner. 310 Austin and 813 North Eaton Street. I want to say to you guys that today, some of the decisions that you guys have made, that you didn't listen to the city. There's going to be a shift in your own personal lives from this day forward. And you're going to know it and you're going to recognize it. And it's going to come back to you and it's going to speak to you. And it's going to let you know that some things you do because you want to, some things you do because you have to, and some things you do because you just don't know what you're doing at all. For us to, and I'm saying us because I'm still on this board, to make a decision because of conversations. Some of you have never called me. I've called some of you separate times to try to speak with you. But none of you have ever called me personally as a board member to talk about what the concerns were or what's going on. That's as a board member. I know for a fact that someone had a conversation with her secretary this week before this meeting took forth and said, are you willing to act as the assistant, what's the word you use? As the interim director, because that Virgie wouldn't be there after today. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? So you guys didn't care about us as citizens. I'm standing as a citizen right now. You guys didn't care about us as a citizen to give us enough information to understand why this decision was made. It was did in confidence.
No.
So you can't present something to a community and then turn around and not tell them why you're doing it. It's a right to know. It's a right to know, you guys. It's a right. And that's all Mr. Harvey was asking for. To just not do it today so we could have a discussion as the entire board. That's all we asked for. And to me, you don't show me any respect as a person for me to ask that and you not allow it to happen. So what is that saying as us working together here? What does that really say? That only you're supposed to know this information? And us as, so maybe you can't tell the community. So I'll stand back. Maybe the community can't know, but there is a such thing as talking to the whole collective board.
As I raised before, there is a comment on Zoom. So when I'm done, I hope we do tend to the comment that's on Zoom. I don't know most of you, and those that I do, I have very little faith in. But one of you shared with me that your primary goal in this season was to protect a certain population of people. And those people came to you today and they told you what they needed and you did not act in their best interest. I think that's disappointing. I think it speaks to how you understand solidarity and commitment and uplift. And for all of the commitments and oaths that we've taken, I think you failed to uphold those today. A reminder that there's a comment on Zoom.
Well, once again, Albert Amos, 400 Baroque Street, Albion, Michigan. Listen, I've heard us talk a lot about leadership, about leadership. And it's my understanding that the majority of the board views Virgie as not a good leader. But yet I sit here and I watched her help you guys understand how this system works. So it's confusing that you would tell me that the person that is not a good leader that you have gotten rid of, not want to, but you already did the vote, can sit here and instruct you. That's how this supposed to, how it's supposed to go. Well, I mean, that's confusing to me because it would appear to me then that maybe you guys aren't good leaders. And if that's the case, should you then also be fired? I mean, come on, you know, it seems that maybe we understand somewhat what a leader should be, but I think that there's something most important that goes along with a good leader, and that's a person with character. And I'm not seeing from this board a good representation of character. See, Leaders, they come and they go. But your character will be with you for the rest of your life. And for you to even give the images of though you're here for the good order of the city, and yet the people of the city come out and plead to you and you disregard it. And it's certainly hard for me to believe that we actually made the decision today at the vote because we were so insistent on the vote. It was sort of like the decision had already been made. So the question now is what's next? Albion, what's next? Because we continue, as I said before, to hire people and fire people and just going around and around and around and not making any type of progress. We really need to take a look at it. We really need to take a inter-reflection on who we are and what we stand for. Because it was my understanding that you was for the betterment of the city. Is that the whole city or is that just certain parts of the city? I want to know. And I guess we need also to when do we have a situation where we can have conversation? When do the city people get to actually have conversation where they get responses from the leaders? Because it's not happening. You give me the 3 minutes and I'll voice my opinion and that's all it is. It's said and it's done. It's truly a joke. And I think you already know it and you already understand it. So we got to do better, my God. We just lost territory. We're moving here when we have an opportunity to set Albion in a right place. When we have an opportunity here, man, you guys should be working on how we can open up businesses to make cords and plates and wires and whatever the battery plant needs. And instead, we're sitting here arguing and going back and forth and not even knowing the proper order of business in a meeting that we running. It's kind of sad, y'all. We gotta do better. I think that we just lost a good person. Yeah. I think it's gonna put us back quite a ways. Hopefully though, since you guys are great leaders, you got a plan. And we're gonna see it, I guess. Thanks.
Tremaine Williams again. I mean, this listening to what Pastor just said, you know what I mean? I know a lot of times they gotta talk with like, you know, hope from a hope standpoint, hope y'all do better, hope we gotta do better. But I can't hope. I don't see no better as long as y'all snakes up in here, to be honest. Y'all vipers. And because this is the thing. It wasn't even about black and white to me. I seen all of these people, black and white, get behind this woman. And you sit up here and talk about leadership. It ain't getting no kind of basis of what you really were talking about. I mean, my man's right here, sat up here and went back and forth with you. We still don't know nothing. And I mean, and like she said, you've been having a smug the whole time, you know what I mean? Like to me, like it seemed like it's a personal thing for real. Like that really hurt my heart, for real. Because this woman has came in here and made a difference. Made a real difference. Nobody can give us no kind of answer why y'all making these decisions. What I want to see is not that y'all just be replaced from all of the stuff from, you know, these little websites from like this. It's not even starting from here. I remember back when people was doing stuff when the other mayor Garrett was in office. You know, all of this secret backdoor stuff, all of this stuff that should be illegal. I want some of this stuff to be brought up, some charges against y'all. I want to see the worst come, for real, because this is some bull crap. People are just going through this cycle, replacing people, doing wrong. This sitting up here with one group of people's agenda at heart. Y'all bought off with something. I don't know if y'all getting paid or what, but it makes no sense for the whole community to come out here and stand behind this woman, and y'all sit up here and talk about some leadership. I mean, it seems like a joke for real. Like, you ain't ashamed of yourself? It's crazy. I mean, I don't even want to talk today, but what I seen today just like really hurt my heart for real. Seriously. I hope some charges or something get brought up against you.
Donovan Williams, 809 North Albion Street. I would like to say thank you to the former CEO of the Albion EDC, Virgie Ammerman. Along the process of her arriving here in Albion, there were a lot of concerns over making sure that the role would be staffed with somebody who could specifically speak to the needs that we had here in the Albion community. Council raised a lot of concerns, community members raised a lot of concerns, and we showed up at those meetings in that small office to voice those concerns before your board at the time. I know some of you are new, so this is your first time hearing that. There was a lot of questionable actions that had taken place in choosing the headhunter who would staff the role, the applicants that filled the role or would be interviewed to fill the role. There were only 2 applicants. Fortunately enough, we had an applicant who checked all the boxes. The other applicant ended up trying to drop out before finishing the interview process completely. But I was told she was asked to stay on to complete that cycle. I'm not sure how to dig for gold, right? Like I'm not sure how to do that, right? But I know we've had a golden opportunity here and the right person with the right tools to check off every benchmark to every question that we raised in those early, in that early cycle of bringing someone in here that would be able to turn the city of Albion around economically. Today, that person's assignment is over. Unfortunately for the city of Albion, the greater community, and the future of Albion. For this to end without a plan in place, it just harkens back to my overall, I won't say criticism, but skepticism of how this board is run. Unfortunately, it's not appointed by council, it's appointed by the mayor. And through council, we try to support every appointee. You all have your reasons for making your decision today, none of which I have seen or could get behind. Like everyone else said, everyone came out today because they witnessed her leadership. They've witnessed her cooperation and collaboration throughout the city. And they have all in some way received some support from Mrs. Ammerman. So I would like to say thank you, Mrs. Ammerman, for the great job that you have done here in the city of Albion. And I am saddened that your service is ending at this venture, but may a opportunity come to you that will put you at the forefront of redeveloping and helping to reestablish a city that you love so much that you didn't have to take your time out to come back to, especially to not participate in the games that are taking place here. What I found out, I know some of you are, again, new to the board. What I found out in being on the board here in the Albion community is that competence is terrorized and it's run out of town. That's the reason why Austin Ave looks the way it does. That's the reason why the downtown had looked the way it did for so long until, you know, things were eventually done in order to make it feasible to build there once again. As far as the rest of the city, I don't believe that we will be in a position to build or to do anything exceptional in the time frame in which we need to without being able to maintain and keep people who are competent in their roles. Thank you.
My name is Takayla Williams. I'm at 1311 Hillside Road. I just want to say, I was going to come up here before and speak, but everyone pretty much said everything that I had to say. Family members, community members, people I work for, said everything that I needed to say. But one thing I want to say is I am getting a lot of text messages. I'm just doing audio and visual. I don't agree with anything that was done today. So I have to let that be known on my behalf. I do not agree. I am not a part of this board. I was just here filling in today for audio and visual. So I need to let my community know that. I hold a place in this community, and a place that I hold, a lot of that has to do with Ms. Ammerman and what she has made available for people like me who own small businesses. I don't agree. And I want to let that be known on my behalf.
Roy Lucier, 1201 Maple Street, and this was crazy, but this is the first time I've been part of these things. The EDC holds the power, if I'm correct, like to funnel in millions of dollars into this city, which therefore makes her position, well, not, you know, the EDC's position quite vulnerable, because anyone who wants those millions of dollars, if they can help control where it goes, can help have more power in the city. So the question, I guess, is that I have now is a question of integrity, which was brought up before. And moving forward, can we please have integrity as a board? Like, can integrity be like the goal almost, like, so that whatever goes forward, we can all be in confidence that you're making the right decisions for the right reasons, right? Because we're all have lack of confidence now, right? That's where we're all standing. Like, what do we, you know? And I feel like whatever happens moving forward, I'm just pleading that integrity be like an important part of that. So thanks.
My name is Virgie Ammerman, 305 East Main Street, most recent CEO of the Albion Economic Development Corporation, past CEO. I have one request, and that is on behalf of my staff. And that is that they be appointed a leader who can be a buffer between this board and that staff. I have a staff member who is a marketing and communication specialist, and at least 5 members of this board have made themselves available to her in a way that's inappropriate based on your own bylaws and charter and articles of incorporation. You have one employee that's the CEO and president of this organization. Just this week, a member of this board went to my staff, asked one staff to leave the room, leave the building, so that he could have privacy with another staff and asked them, please come to this meeting. That staff has asked me multiple times to stay out of politics, be able to do her job. I have protected her in that job. I beg you to find an interim director who can do that and do that well. I have tried to do that from the moment I arrived here. And for some reason, this board does not understand their role. I have tried to be kind. I've tried to be gracious. I've tried to be understanding. Please do not tackle my staff. Now I have to go and explain this to my mother.
Any more public comment? With that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion to. Oh, I'm sorry. Those in favor of adjourning? Those opposed? Thank you.
Hey.
And also give me a call. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you. Scott, thank you. These things are not easy, but it's such a lot. Thank you very much.